Finally, we found the vault. Alright, what's in it? Oh, a stick. Alright, what do we have here? Nothing. Here we go, baby. Nothing again. Seriously. Again. Nothing again. Okay, surely we got something this time. Oh, hey, look, it's a rock that can bring anyone back to life and heal any wound. Well, this is clearly the worst one so far, right? For sure. It's terrible. Yeah, Borderlands is about vaults. In every Borderlands game, you play as a vault hunter. Every bit of lore in Borderlands either leads to or stems from the vaults. It's your reason to keep playing the game. It's the promise of some crazy cool rewards for spending your time playing the game. Or at least it should be. Not all vaults are built the same, with some feeling super grandiose while others feel like complete afterthoughts. And that's why I'm going to be ranking all 11-ish vaults in Borderlands history. Before we get started, I'm just going to say this now, like, I'm not going to be including any of the vaults we don't fully see. So any of, like, the Typhon de Leon vaults that he found, like the first ever vault, or Githian on Xylorgo, since even though we can see the corpse of the vault monster, we can't actually see the vault itself or the treasure it was protecting. And I'm doing it that way because the rankings will be based off the boss fight the vaults have, the rewards you get for finding it, and the overall relevance and kind of cool factor to me personally. With that being said though, let's get into it.
Hot loader.
The Vault of the Devourer is the only vault seen in New Tales from the Borderlands, which of course is the most beloved game in the Borderlands franchise. So why do I think this vault is the worst? Well, let's just run it by the same way the game does. So you enter the vault, the first thing the game gets you to do is to just scan this Eridium rune. Eridium runes of Borderlands 3 were very important to the overall bonus lore that they couldn't fit into the game, giving players context for past events and clues that could happen next. But when Arno scans this one, they make a stupid joke out of it, which fucking ruins it! The fact that there were Eridians with the names Vinny and Paulie with an inscribing company in an ancient futuristic civilization is kind of just, it's just too dumb for me. I'm sorry, it's just too dumb. After that, the vault monster is revealed. The Devourer. Dumb fuck. I mean, just look at this design. What is this? Like, in their introduction, to show how strong and powerful they are, they stand still and roar for about 5 minutes straight while the characters kind of just talk. But then, it picks up a paraplegic and tries to eat them. Really slowly. And then after the paraplegic presses backwards on their hover chair, the Devourer loses its grip and dies. What the fuck? But then of course it comes back to life and is instead defeated by a guy running around in a circle twice, a throw machine and a teleporter gun. Of course. The reward for defeating the Devourer was the crystal that brought it back to life before. The very same crystal that threatens all Borderlands lore, storytelling potential, and stakes because of how bad an idea it is. So yeah, let's just say when it comes to vaults, they've done better. Anyways, moving on. Alright, the Vault of the Coward. Not actually its official name, I know, but it doesn't actually have one since it's just kind of an inconsequential one. The Vault of the Coward was discovered by Tanis with a message that said, the vault will only open once the champion of Pandora spills the blood of the ultimate coward. Kind of an odd premise for a vault, but it's mainly there to serve the plot and have a reason for Torgue to hold a competition to find the ultimate badass. As for the vault itself, it's pretty disappointing. No vault monster, unless you count Pizzin, in which case crap vault monster, and the reward being few green guns. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty empty and barely even counts as a vault, but, you know, technicality, it is one. The only reason why it isn't last as having a crap reward is better than making me disappointed in my choice to play Borderlands games entirely.
Snake!
I know what most of you are thinking. Who the hell's the Serpent? I don't remember any Serpent vault ever in the Borderlands franchise. Well, the Vault of the Serpent was the vault on Necrotafea that Typhon de Leon and his wife later cleared out together. And I know I said I was gonna warn you not to, but you don't go outside. Shut up. The reward in the vault is the Eridium Fabricator, otherwise known as the
Gun!
It's a gun that shoots out other guns, basically, which, even if you didn't really use it much in game personally, you can still respect how cool it is, right? Now, the reason why this vault in particular is so low is because you never get to see the design of or fight the Serpent, which is a shame, because I have always wanted to see a Serpent-like boss in the Borderlands, and it feels like they just kind of wasted with the name drop. There really isn't that much to say about this one, other than the Fabricator just kind of carries it above the other two.
Man, it was a slap!
Alright, the Vault of the Destroyer. No, not that one. This is the finale vault of Borderlands 3. Is it the Great Vault? I don't know. The game is really bad at explaining it. A vault that contains the power of the Destroyer, an ancient alien so powerful the Eridians had to seal it away. So powerful that the game clearly states that nothing can defeat it. Oh, I love me some high stakes, baby. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. Wait, why is it so low on the list? Well, that's because the entirety of Borderlands 3 is supposedly leading up to this boss. Tyreen's plan was apparently the whole time to fuse with the Destroyer to lose her siren powers and instead become a very beatable mortal version of the Destroyer. Okay. The reward for beating this vault is Mayhem mode, so it doesn't really count, as that's more of like a game mechanic more than an actual tangible thing in the lore. Also, I'm not really sure if this vault is the same one as the Great Vault or not, since like that's where they originally tried to do this exact same thing, and it looks really similar. I don't know. I mean, they're two different locations in game, so probably just a coincidence. I think a problem in hindsight this vault is that all of Nereid's recordings build the real Destroyer up to be this unstoppable force of nature, when in the end you beat it in like 20 seconds. It just feels way too rushed and far too anticlimactic to be higher on the list. Alright, so this is the one you're thinking of. This was the first ever vault in Borderlands history, and as we came later to find out, not actually a vault. Instead, it's a feeding mechanism for the Destroyer, after it was imprisoned by the Eridium. It would open by having certain fake vaults open every 200 years, so that travelers hoping to find loot would indirectly be fed to the prisoner. This fake vault is what the vault is in the first Borderlands game, which, not gonna lie, pretty disappointing. But like, of course everything I just said was a retcon. If we take it how it first released, it might as well have been ranked worse than the Serpent, which was just a fucking empty room. The boss itself is just a bullet sponge, and since it's just feeding tube, no reward either. Well, one of the worst vaults in the franchise, but at least it has a lot of raw relevance, as opening the vault causes the growth of Eridium on Pandora's surface, and being a setup to the Destroyer actually having potential to be a big threat in any way, you know, as long as they don't mess it up. What do you mean it's lower than this one on the list? This vault was also the reason Handsome Jack came to power partly, with Jack seeing what the Vault Hunters of Borderlands 1 actually missed, the reward. This cute ass eye, oh my god, I love it so much! Oh yeah, it also comes with a huge laser. Wait, what? So yeah, few saving graces, but overall, pretty lame vault.
Great, another vault.
Not gonna lie, before we say anything else, dog shit name. I mean, I wouldn't even call this a good vault, to be honest. It even counts as one, but there is treasure at the end that you have to go through a giant vault symbol that teleports you there, so yeah, we have to count it. Getting to the Great Vault marks the exact point where Borderlands 3 story writers had no more time to write it, and they just had to throw everything at the wall and make it work. Like, for real though, everything before this point at least made sense in its own context, but after this part in the game, it's just a mad dash of poorly woven together plot points. Like, what is even going on? And I know I haven't talked too much about the story context for most of these other vaults, but that is legit all this vault has. As finding the Great Vault is all Troy and Tyreen talk about through the game. Though this area isn't the Great Vault, the vault that contained the Destroyer was, but despite that, this area is still called the Great Vault anyways to make everything more confusing. There's no vault monster presumably because you know the Destroyer would have been it, but there's a pretty interesting reward. It's this place where you get the translator for Nereid's writings so that you can learn more about the added lore to this game that 99% of players skipped over. Honestly, a reward that actually feels like it makes sense to keep in a vault. But that's it, to be honest. The last three on this list are pretty interchangeable anyways, so let's just get on with the actual vault. Alright, we're more than halfway through this and we finally got our first decent vault. The vault of the Rampager contains the Eridium Resonator, which is a hammer. It's a hammer that can basically break Eridium. The vault monster protecting it is the Rampager. Pretty okay as far as vault monsters go. They absorb these blue things that infuse themselves with an element, giving them 3 phases: radiation, corrosion, and fire. The Rampager itself doesn't really have any plot relevance, instead they're just kinda here to be a guardian for the Eridium Resonator, which is a little lame to an extent, but also kind of just fits that, you know, they just made this big old guy to protect their shit. It just makes sense. The fight itself is pretty fun, with a few too many invincibility phases and him just not landing during fire fate. Just land. But the thing that really makes this vault cool is the most satisfying thing in Borderlands history. This wall right here. Yes! Yes, dude! Yes! So yeah, pretty cool. This is kind of an odd one in the way of the Vault Monster, since the Great Vault himself isn't actually the Vault Monster, these two Guardians are. Grave and Ward. Wait, hold on, wrong ones. Grave and Ward. They're nothing special in the way of fighting, just some regular Guardians with some funny old names. But when you kill them, similar to the Rampager, their souls transfer into the surrounding trees, forming what we know as the Graveward. Graveward is probably the first Vault Monster on this list that actually, like, properly feels like one. Like, don't get me wrong, Rampager is fine, but Graveward being this giant literal force of nature is what it's what I want out of my vault monsters, man. He's strong, his design is awesome, and the fight itself has a lot of interaction in it. The graveward has tons of moves like tipping over the slave, slamming their arm, impaling their other arm, gigantic fire laser. Oh hey, that looks kind of cool. Ah! And also there's these slow, easy to dodge corrosive balls that exist. But even outside the fight, the floating tomb as a vault is one of like the most inventive in the whole franchise. Most vaults look pretty similar, but this one being on a flying island is just kind of cool. The treasure from this vault is Borderlands 3's artifact slot, which is probably the single most disappointing thing it could have ever been, because A, locking this to a vault reward makes it unlock way too late in the game, and B, this doesn't feel like something the Eridians would want to protect since you just have this slot unlocked from the get-go in Borderlands 2. And I know that they're relics in Borderlands 2 and not artifacts, so they're technically different, but come on mate, come on. They are the same thing, okay? But besides the disappointing reward, the Vault of the Graveward is one of the best. The Vault of the Warrior is not like any usual vault that contains a loot or an instrument used by the Eridians. This vault has more in common with the Vault of the Destroyer, since the monster in the vault is also the treasure. In Nereid's writings, we find out that the Eridians created the Warrior to protect Pandora from those who wanted to appease the Destroyer and release it. The Warrior has the power to wipe out all life on Pandora if told to do so by its masters. Masters that were the Eridians, but then they were all wiped out by Nereid, so now it's like whoever wakes the Warrior is its master. This is why Handsome Jack wants to open that vault in Borderlands 2, so that he can wipe out all the Bandit clans and make Pandora a civilized planet. The Warrior itself is like a kid trying to design their own character, and I'm just so here for it. What do I mean by this? Well, it's got laser beams, and it's got claws, and oh, you already know it's got fire breath, and yeah, it's got wings, and yeah, it can fly, and yeah, oh yeah, it's also like super fast, it can swim in lava, and it's got super strength to throw fucking rocks. Like I said, I love it. The vault itself is also really cool. Like, it's a very unique area with like being surrounded by lava waterfalls and Eridian imagery. Really inventive environment. So all in all, even though there isn't like a usual reward, the game explains itself enough to where you don't actually feel disappointed, and instead, you know, it just acts as a great cornerstone of the lore.
That's bro.
Okay, so this is basically where all my biases show, because like I don't think anyone else would put the Traveler this high, but I can't help but love this one. The Vault of the Traveler is probably the most unique as far as vault monsters, concepts, and fights go in the whole franchise. The Traveler is a vault that constantly teleports around the galaxy, so no one can ever get what's inside it. That was until the Atlas Corporation found out it existed and created a robot that could not only summon it, but also battle it once it was there. The project was abandoned after Atlas Corporation stopped existing. The events of Tales from the Borderlands follow, where the gang sets out to recreate the Gortys project and summon the vault. Once they summon it, they all thoroughly get their shit kicked in and are forced to destroy the robot so that the Traveler goes away. But the second time they do it, they bring people from their travels, including Cassius, no one fucking picked him, August, Janie, Athena, Zero, Felix. Oh, never mind, Felix peaced out. But he did give us a ton of money. I mean, maybe we can afford that mystery vault hunter now. I mean, oh god damn it, it was Claptrap. Fuck, should have seen this coming. Oh, I had all this money. Why did I just... Oh, I gave it all to Claptrap. Oh my god. Whoever you choose to be in your team will change the moves that Gortys has as they take on the combat experience of whoever's piloting them. This is what I mean by how unique the fight is. It's so cool seeing and guessing all the different moves that Gortys will use in the fight. Got August boxing, Athena of course is going to use that shield, and you know Zero's going to use his sword. Oh, what's he doing? I'm not really sure what's going on. He did the thing! It's just a really fun fight all in all. But to actually beat them though, Sasha and Fiona need to go inside of the Traveler to blow up its teleporting gland so they could actually like hit it from the outside. But then we get to why my ranking of the vault doesn't make much sense, and that's because of the vault reward. We don't know what it is. All these years later, we don't know what it is. Neither does Gearbox or Telltale. At the end of the game, both protagonists, Reese and Fiona, open a giant purple chest, and when it opens, they just get teleported away, and it was never explained. Not even in Borderlands 3, where Reese is a prominent character as the CEO of the Atlas Corporation, never explained. That should dock a few points from it, but I still just can't help but have like the best of memories with this vault. I still remember the first time I ever saw the Traveler like shrouded in smoke, just think it was so cool, like with the sound design and just everything. And it's crazy that it actually like feels like a really tough fight that Vault Hunters would now able to beat normally, and you needed the robot. To make all of this in like a choose your own adventure Telltale game and still make it feel like an impactful fight is just super impressive. Just a really inventive vault, all things considered. I love it so much. And now for the #1 pick.
I understand everything!
Whoa, looks like Cashew's still biased after last time. Whoa. And yeah, I see that, but I actually do believe that this is the best vault in the franchise. First of all, Elissa as a location just feels like exact what the vault should look like. It's covered in guardians, it has all these crystals, floating platforms, fucking look at all this crazy grandiose architecture. The vault monster as well is one of, if not the coolest in the franchise. The Sentinel doesn't really have plot relevance, but like the Rampager and the Traveler, that's okay. It's just cool to have a vault monster just be there to protect the treasure. The Sentinel at first is extremely unique in the way that they're just kind of human-sized instead of this huge force of nature. They have a crazy stuff that they throw around, you know, they can shoot beams from their eyes, you know, they summon elemental beams from the ground as well. Not to mention that they also have the power of every element. Every time you knock their shield down to 0, they'll get back up with the power of a different element. Depending on what the element they are, they might be able to fly, you know, use more laser beams or things like that. But after you defeat the Sentinel, this happens. A bigger and harder version of the boss you just fought awakens in the center of the stage. This fake out was one of like just the most memorable things from any Borderlands game for me. It was just this glee that the fight wasn't over yet and we just had this whole other thing to deal with. It was just so good. He's got all these moves that he expands on and makes better the further you go into the fight. For instance, when the fight first starts, he has this singularity move that's pretty easy to get away from, but in the later part of the fight, when he's imbued with corrosive powers, he'll throw up this corrosive shit all over the stage and then use his singularity to pull you into the damage over time pool. Or this move where he slams his hands on the ground that knocks you up into the air so he can use his eye lasers on you. It's pretty easy to dodge if you just slam as soon as you start moving into the air, but he can combine this with another of his moves, one where he electrifies the floor and creates platforms so that when he launches you into the air, you will rise up, and then when you try and slam down, you won't be able to because there's a platform below you, so he could just use his eye laser. There are so many like Smash Bros combos that this boss uses and I just love it. This boss in general is probably just my favorite in the franchise since it requires knowledge of the game's mechanics and encourages movement a lot, from positioning to getting ammo back from these portals in the floor, to platforming on the aforementioned platforms and dodging attacks with the right tech, with that being a well-timed slam or looking a particular direction when using your Oz kit for extra height. Damn, I haven't even gotten to the vault's treasure yet. A Borderlands vault treasure that isn't disappointing and actually has story relevance and use to it. The treasure inside of the vault is knowledge. It shows you your future, how you're gonna die. So with this information, you basically know exactly what will happen to you and be ready for anyone who tries to stop your plans as long as you don't break it. Lilith, why do you always do this? Every time. Like, why do you have to be like this? But yeah, that's why the Vault of the Sentinel is just the best vault by far. Come on, guys. Like, you gotta agree with this one at least. And that's my list. Not gonna lie, this took way longer to write than I thought it would. Let me know if you agree with my list or think I'm way too biased to be making these in the first place. If you disagree with anything, tell me what you would do different. But thanks for watching the video, you know, give it a like or a sub, you know, if you want to out yourself as an absolute legend. I mean, I guess you could hit the join button, like, oh, I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Hey, before the video ends, as always, I just want to shout out my channel members. They are JBH, who knows everything that you were ever going to do, but that won't help them if you ever battle, since you know everything that they're going to do. Strange, isn't it? Wesker520, who can give a motivational speech like an improv comic. Any subject will do. And Angel B, who can see into the future of snails by a few minutes, and yep, they're gonna be a few centimeters forward by then. Thank you guys so much for showing the extra support as always, just I really appreciate it. If you, random sub, also want to become a channel member, well, you know, I believe that you can figure it out. Maybe if you use your noggin, you've got this. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you next time.